Hey everyone, I'm meteorologist Anthony Carpino. Here's the latest on that nor'easter as we head through the overnight and going through the day on Sunday. We're going to start to notice some changes. So, the first thing, we'll notice that wind start to pick up a little bit more as we head in throughout the day on Sunday. But the peak wind gusts for southern New England not expected until we go through Sunday night and then in through early portions of Monday morning. The rain, I think the first half of Sunday will actually end up being dry for us. So, if you have any plans before midday, I think we'll be in good shape. Well, I think the rain will hold off a little bit. The rain begins to take over, though, as we move past midday and then in through the middle of the afternoon, especially getting closer to 2, 3 o'clock. And then by 4, 5, most of the state is already starting to see some of that rainfall. So let's walk you through some of the forecast models, what we're seeing so far tonight. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated on the nor'easter and more weather events that will happen that will be impacting you. So let's talk about the American forecast model first. This is the 18Z run from Saturday evening. And one of the things that we'll notice is you'll see that rain start to take over. This is about 5 p.m. on Sunday. So as you can see, if you're in northwestern Connecticut or in upstate New York, the rain hasn't quite started yet, but you see that for southeastern areas of Connecticut going through eastern areas of Massachusetts and most of Rhode Island also seeing some of those showers, and also Long Island. I think Long Island will actually end up getting a good bit of rainfall, and they're actually going to get a good bit of wind to go along with this as well. We keep going through. This is now going into Monday afternoon. We can see those showers overspreading New England, now getting through sections of Vermont, but also in northern sections of New York as well, including getting closer to Albany and even the sections north of Albany as well. So the rain continues there, on and off showers through about Tuesday morning. And that's been pretty consistent with other forecast models. So I'll bring in the European forecast model here. We'll back this up. And as we go through, there's a couple of differences that you're probably going to notice here. The bulk of the heavier showers with the European forecast model continues to stay further to the south and further off to the east. We were looking at this forecast model yesterday, and it was well to the south and east. Now it's come back to center just a little bit for us, started to agree a little bit more with the American model, but there are still definitely some differences there. So these are the things that we're going to keep an eye on as we head through the day on Sunday, the day tomorrow. As you can see, though, if this one were to come true, much of western Connecticut, not expecting much in the way of rainfall, at least through the first half of Sunday, before we notice that pivot back to the west, and then we see that rain as we head through late Sunday night and then in through early portions of Monday morning. Let's talk about wind speeds because I think that's something else that we're really going to notice, and that will play a role in some other factors, including coastal flooding. The center of this system is also different. If you remember yesterday, we were talking about this area of low pressure being a lot further off. It was further to the south, and you can see how much further back it's come. So back to center a little bit more. This is just to the south of Long Island, so a little different than what we were talking about with this model yesterday. So kind of doing that back and forth dance a little bit there. But as we head through, this is now Monday evening. That low continues just to spin off the coast of New York and New Jersey. That's going to give New Jersey some pretty substantial coastal flooding there because that northeasterly wind coming off the Atlantic just pushes all of that water inland, so that's going to cause some problems for them. But let's talk about the wind, like I mentioned there. So let's pull in the wind gusts here. We'll back this back up. And again, this is just one forecast model, but the European model showing those gusty conditions for Long Island, Block Island, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket. And there you go. You can see those winds now gusting. This is Monday at midnight, so Sunday night into Monday morning there. Inland Connecticut gusting between about 25, 35 miles per hour. Those winds continue to go up for inland Connecticut. And now the shoreline is seeing those winds maybe gusting more than 40. As we play this out a little bit further, you can see more of those 40s starting to pop up on the map a little bit there. Let's see if I can zoom this in for you guys a little bit more. That helps. So you can see 40 to 45 mile per hour gusts there. So that's something for the shoreline to really watch. Again, this is just one forecast model, and the peak timing is expected to be during that overnight period. So while most of us are actually sleeping is when we're expecting the highest of those wind gusts. So let's pause this at about 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday and I'm going to switch this back to the American forecast model, which really shows that core of winds just right over Long Island. You see, though, that area in orange is essentially winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour. The darker shade of orange is not too far away from 60, so 55 to 60. Now, fortunately, all of that will likely stay south of New England, but that will cause some problems for Long Island itself. So they're going to be keeping a close eye on that. They have some advisories to go along with the wind. But what you'll notice is just right at the beach towns for the Connecticut shoreline. I think that's where we're going to start to push the envelope a little bit more. So winds potentially gusting 50, maybe 55 miles per hour. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a couple reports, 52 or 53, so just over that 50 mile per hour mark, but winds gusting at least to 45 miles per hour, maybe as high as about 55. So that's what we're really going to focus on. That's where we could have some issues as far as tree damage, the potential for some scattered power outages. All that is what we're going to keep an eye on there as we head through the next 24 hours, essentially. There's not too much difference between this run of the American model and previous runs. The American model has been pretty consistent. It's the European model that has kind of been going back and forth a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on the European model. We also have some more localized models that we're also going to watch as we get just a little bit closer. But I want to bring in talking about the forecast now as we head through uh, the next day. This is a look at our forecast going through tonight and then through the day tomorrow. So our headlines for Southern New England, for Connecticut, we're talking about wind and that rain. That's going to be a possibility for sure. You'll notice it breezier starting Sunday morning. But again, the peak of those gusts aren't until the overnight period. And like I mentioned before, that potential for some scattered power outages and that coastal flooding threat. We'll talk about the rain again first. This is looking closer at Connecticut here, but as you can see, we're getting closer to 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Rain is starting to overspread Connecticut, but if you're in northwestern Connecticut, you may stay dry. If you're in like Salisbury, you might stay on the drier side for the first part of the afternoon, but you will see that change to rain as we head through Sunday night. And that's also where we can end up seeing some more moderate showers as well. So keep that in mind as all of this moisture starts to work its way in. It might be a little tough at first, but eventually the entire state will see those showers. There's that moderate rain chance there. That's about 12:30 in the morning on Monday. So moderate showers there. And then it's on and off scattered showers Monday morning, Monday afternoon. And then we begin to taper things down as we head into the day on Tuesday. Definitely still some showers left over by Tuesday, but the bulk of the rain is pretty much out of here. As far as those wind gusts, like I mentioned before, inland Connecticut, likely seeing those gusts between about 35 to 45 miles per hour at times, and then the shoreline will receive those higher gusts, 45 to about 55 miles per hour. With that wind, we now have a wind advisory for the Connecticut shoreline, and this actually extends further to the south and even includes part of Metro New York, but all of the Connecticut shoreline from Greenwich all the way to Stonington under that wind advisory. That will begin on midday on Sunday and last all the way through Monday evening. So kind of keep that in mind there. With the wind pushing that water inland a little bit, we also have that potential for coastal flooding. So there's a coastal flood advisory, but we're really going to notice that flooding during the high tide cycles themselves. So it's not going to have a flooding issue 100% of the time on Sunday and lingering through Monday. It's really just going to be at those key points during high tide. So let's talk about Bridgeport, for example. So the time that we were recording this on Saturday night, we had current tide levels about 1.5 feet or so, more or less. You can see the current level well where it should be. But if you look at the forecast peak height of high tide, that's not too far away from moderate flood levels there. I believe for Bridgeport, it's 10.2. That's technically moderate flooding. So we're just below that threshold there. And you can see that timing is for Monday afternoon as the peak high tide. There's a couple of high tide cycles that we're going to have to go through. The first is going to be on Sunday afternoon. Then as you wake up Monday morning, and then the following. We just kind of continue from there. We'll take you to New London, where current levels, we're at low tide, but the forecast as we head through the 13th, so a little bit further out, this is looking at the highest of high tides as far as the overall forecast goes. But again, keeping an eye on those key high tide cycles. So again, Sunday afternoon, Monday morning, and so on. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on there as well. When you talk about the wind that's pushing water inland, we're talking about the potential for water inundation. So water that gets above ground level there. In some spots, it's possible getting as high as about 2 feet. That's especially for those vulnerable areas. If you're in one of those spots that at high tide, the water goes all the way up to the dock and just kind of lips the top of the dock there, you're likely going to have some problems as we head through each of these high tide cycles. So keep that in mind as well. 2 feet's not for everyone. It's for the worst of those vulnerable areas. 1 to 2 feet is the forecast across sections of the Connecticut coastline there. Winds are going to be shifting out of the northeast, which could help in certain areas, but depending on which way your shoreline faces along the Connecticut shore, that could have some different effects there. Now, as far as the rainfall goes, again, thinking anywhere from about 1 to possibly 2 inches of rainfall, with the higher amounts in sections of Rhode Island as well as into eastern Massachusetts there. 1 to 3 inches possible for them, but about 1 to 2 inches for us. So we luckily don't have to worry about any kind of major river flooding with this, because this is also getting stretched out over a couple of days, but it's just been so dry where a lot of those rivers are low. Now we're likely going to see them rise a little bit, but they should all stay well within their banks. A few heavier downpours could cause some ponding on the roadways, but that will be about it as far as the flooding concerned. When we're talking about flooding with this system, it's mainly coastal flooding. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on there. By Sunday morning, our temperatures are back down into the 50s, about 52 degrees. So a lot to keep an eye on here as we go through the next few days, but we are going to keep you guys updated on the forecast as we head through both Saturday night and going through the day on Sunday. So again, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you can get more updates on this nor'easter and all the other weather that we'll see throughout New England as we continue on through the fall and then eventually getting into the wintertime. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great night.